All right, so welcome to our VIP session. Now I have to find my slides and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay. There we are. All right. So I'm going to run through this. This is our, Q&A session. I wanted to come answer questions about the business school, tell you about it, what we do, what we're about. And then, we're going to have fun afterwards. And, it's my firm belief that every doctor deserves a business education. We went to med school and went through residency training and all of that. And it's a beautiful training system, right? So I don't fault it or anything like that, but we didn't get a business education. So EntreMD kind of lives to solve that problem. Okay. All right. So you are in the right place if you are a physician and you may not even have a full idea like this is exactly what I want to do, but there's more and you're like, this can be all there is. There's more. And if you think that, then you're in the right place. If you're like, I have a business idea, I'm ready to launch, I don't really know how to work a business and all of that, but I want to get this done, then you're in the right place. If you started a business and it's working, either, you've had your first few clients and all of that, or you've built it where, it's successful, but you want to grow it, you want to scale it, you want to maybe make it work without you and things like that, then you're in the right place. Especially if you find out that you don't have a roadmap. You're like, I know where I want to get to, but I don't know how to get there. Or you know what you should do, but you have a really hard time doing it. Or you're like, if I just had the accountability, I could be consistent. I could stay in my zone of genius. I could build this. I could make it big, right? So if you think any of those things, then you're in the right place. Okay. So this is me. I'm Dr. Una. And I'm going to give you a little bit of my backstory, short backstory. But the reason why I want to do that is because if you're here and you're kind of like, I know there's more, I want to do it, but I'm shy or I'm an introvert, I haven't done a business before, or any of those kind of stuff, this will show you that there are many entrepreneurs that are like that, and you're just fine. So I started off, I went through my pediatric residency training, graduated, got my first job, was super excited about it. And then I had worked at that place for about 9 months at the time. And my boss was like, hey, I want you to come work, I want you to stay with me. So here's a 5-year contract. And, 5 years was a long time for me. I'd been married for 3 years. I'd just, completed 3 years of residency. I'm like, 5 years, golly. But I was like, I am moving. So I'm not going to be able to stay regardless. And he says, go open your practice. And I looked at him like he had lost his mind. I'm like, what do you mean go start your practice? I'm like, nobody starts a practice a year out of residency. And it's like, you know what? You've been doing everything you're going to need to do in a practice here. If you need any support, I'll be happy to help. Go start your practice. And of course, I kind of heard him, but I didn't really take it to heart. But I did have a series of other things that happened. And ultimately, I started my own practice. And, a few months from then, and I was excited because, yeah, we did it. But then I found out I enrolled in the School of Hard Knocks because I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. And I didn't have any of the traits for it, right? So socially awkward, super shy, introverted introvert. I'm like, I cannot do this. I didn't have any business skills. I didn't have any reference points. I didn't have any of that. And I was like a deer caught in headlights, And I got myself to this point where I was like, okay, I'm here. I have to figure this out. And that's when I discovered personal development. That's when I discovered mentorship. That's when I discovered all of those things. And I got the practice to a place where it was working and I was enjoying it. And I could predict things and I could create results. And I was like, wait a minute. I just needed business skills. Like this is not, I thought that people who were great as entrepreneurs were great entrepreneurs. And I wasn't. But the truth of the matter is, they had learned some things and they were doing some things that I had to learn that I wasn't doing. They're business skills. That's what they are. And I was like, how many Dr. Unas are running around, not doing well in business, thinking there's something wrong with them, thinking they can't do it, I was like, that's awful. And that's when we started EntreMD, and the whole goal behind it is to help doctors learn to build profitable businesses. Now, everybody doesn't have to have a private practice. There's some people who are private practice. There's some people who are coaches. There's some people who start product lines. There's some people who have not for profits. And that's the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship. You can do whatever you want, right? You just need to learn how to monetize it. So that's what I do now. And I do that through the EntreMD podcast. I do that through the business school. Those are the two main ways that I do that. So that's me. Okay. But this is about you. So I just wanted to throw that story out there. Now, this is my firm belief that everything you've achieved up until now is just a stepping stone for what comes next. This is my firm belief. So you're a doctor, amazing. Imagine if that wasn't an end. Imagine if that was a stepping stone for what comes next. You've built a business and it's thriving. Well, imagine if that was a stepping stone for what comes next, is not the end. Imagine that. And that's really is the truth. So think about all the things you've accomplished up till this moment. Imagine that that's not the end. There's so much more. All right. So much more. So in our time, being an entrepreneur is no longer optional for physicians. It really isn't, right? If you take a look at what's going on, the loss of autonomy is there, right? Everybody's making all the rules, almost except doctors, right? Burnout is at an all-time high. Doctors are being replaced by nurse practitioners, by PAs, and it's a thing, right? I cannot tell you how heartbreaking it was for me, like during the pandemic, where you have doctors collecting unemployment checks. And please don't misunderstand me. I'm not making fun of that at all. But it's so heartbreaking because who would have thought, right? This was a field where job security was a given. Like, how did we get here, right? Totally devalued in the healthcare space. And you have private practices going out of business by the thousands, right? So it used to be you could be a physician and that was enough. Now you're a physician, but you need other skills to thrive in the current space that we find ourselves in. And this is whether you are doing a traditional business or whether you work a job, because if you work a job in the EntreMD world, we call you an intrapreneur. It is still your responsibility to build your brand. It's still your responsibility to advocate for yourself, to negotiate and all of that. So you're still an entrepreneur. So I put up this picture here, and really is just to show you these are some of the amazing doctors that are in the EntreMD Business School, and we have all kinds of doctors and all kinds of businesses represented. So we have Dr. Stephanie, and she's a physician coach. She's a life coach. We have Dr. Chanel, and she is a urologist, and she runs a not-for-profit. Her whole thing is to bring diversity to the field of urology, where the minorities are really minorities. And I actually interviewed her on the EntreMD podcast. You should listen to her story. It's so amazing. And she has so many things that have happened since then. It's just fantastic. Dr. Karen, she runs a private practice. She's an allergist, immunologist, and she launched her private practice with over 350 people on her waiting list. And we've interviewed her. I've interviewed her on the EntreMD podcast as well. Amazing. Dr. Yinka, she is she's in Canada, and she's founded a skincare line called Dr. Yinka Skin, and it's all about helping women of color reverse the aging process. It's wonderful. Okay. So if you look at that, there are all kinds of businesses represented. And I say that to say it doesn't have to be one kind of business, right? We can do whatever. And you can be next. And if you're thinking, I want to start, I want to scale, I want to do all of that, I'd love to help. Actually, the EntreMD Business School, meaning me and the community, we would love to help. Okay. All right. So why the EntreMD Business School? Well, the first reason is in the business school, our primary goal is your results. Our primary goal is you crossing milestones in your business. Our primary goal is to help you go from one phase to the other. My win, if you look at my goal for 2021, is to give the EntreMD Business School, set the stage for them to have as many wins as possible. Their wins are my wins. And that's the way it works. Okay. That's the primary goal. Number two is that there's minimal curriculum, right? I mean, we've done a lot of education. And of course, I'm not saying we don't need more education, but the focus is not on curriculum. The focus is on action, is on momentum, is on getting things done. So yes, there's a lot of learning to do, but it's not a whole. It's not. We're not after you getting a certificate. There's nothing wrong with certificates. We're after you getting results. There is a very inspiring and very supportive community. Today alone, we have had people post win after win after win. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? And if there are challenges, there are people there that are willing to help you. If you have questions, there are people willing to answer. It's such a great community. The first time that we launched the business school, a lot of people are like, you know what, I just want the one-on-one. I don't really want to do the business school and all of that. And it's so funny because the last time I asked for testimonials, I'm watching all the videos, and all the videos say, I love Dr. Una. I love my classmates. Oh my good, Dr. Una and the community, Dr. Una and the classmate. It's a combo deal. Like the community is so valuable. And then we have exceptional guests who are successful entrepreneurs. We've had people who've come to do productivity secrets for us. We've had Becky who came to to show us how to build teams with little or no money down. We have we have Jessica Terzakis, who is a genius at building online courses. I interviewed her on the podcast. She's coming in to do a workshop for us, like how to create your online course and all of that without the tech overwhelm. We have someone who's coming in May who's going to be showing us how to do a simple but very powerful Facebook ad strategy. So we have all these people who come in. And so the framework, if you listen to the podcast, I love frameworks, I love boxes, I love, everything being neat and tidy. This is kind of what we work through. Okay. So first of all, we help you, if you haven't already, find your profitable business idea. Okay. So this is something that will help you serve a lot of people and earn a lot. In the EntreMD world, we do not believe, well, you can have a passion project, right? But if you are going to make a difference in the world, you have to know that no margin, no mission, right? So find your profitable business idea. We help you master your message so that when you speak, when you show up on podcasts, when you do a video, when you're on stage, you speak in such a way that your ideal client is like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for you. Where have you been? Right? And then we help you create your platform. And that could be a YouTube channel, it could be a podcast, or it could be a blog, but somewhere where you're putting original content so that you can grow that know, like, and trust factor. So you have people who are following you. You have people whose lives are being changed by what your business does. And then we help you build those revenue streams, again, because we believe every business should serve a lot and earn a lot. And then in the fifth stage, you have creating systems, because um, you can be burned out from work and you can be burned out from business. And we don't want you burned out either way, right? So even after you build your business, you have to learn how to leverage teams. You have to learn how to leverage automations and all of that. So you're learning to work smarter, not harder. You're learning to put in effort that gives you a bigger ROI. Okay, so that's what we do. So that's kind of the framework for it. So whether you're a private practice or a nonprofit or a coach or you have a product, this is kind of the framework, because the biggest problem a business will have is obscurity. And the goal of this is to fix that. Okay. So as far as the structure goes, what happens month to month, week to week, and all of that, we have weekly live sessions. They happen on Wednesdays. So we just had one yesterday. And those are, they're all virtual via Zoom. Some of them you will have a guest, some of them will be me, and all of that kind of stuff. Every month we have challenges. And the goal behind the challenges, again, is to keep you in action, is to keep you in momentum. This month we're doing the Speak to Grow challenge, and it's challenging because it's a challenge, but I'm so excited because I know what's going to happen after it. And for every challenge we've done, people have had massive wins because they're out there. There's a private Facebook group, of course, where a lot of magic happens because that's where the community lives. And there's specialty sessions. We've had one for just those in private practice. We're going to have one for those that, that are coaches, for those that sell things online, where, it's a subsect. It's almost like a subspecialty rotation, if you will. And one of our favorites is the EBS masterminds, where we have groups of doctors, about five to six of them, and they have their smaller group meetings, which are really, really powerful. So these are all like the different avenues that we use, and it's all to keep people in action and momentum and get them results. So the business school is perfect for you if you are somebody who is saying, I want to finally build that business. I want to finally build that brand. I know there's more. I want to start accomplishing that. I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to embrace being outside my comfort zone. I'm willing to do things I haven't done before. If you are a whiner or a complainer or a blamer, I don't think there's anybody like that here, but if you are, then this is not for you at all, because you will be challenged to do things. And if you're not open to do it, then this is not going to work. If you're looking for a get rich quick kind of scheme, again, I don't think anybody in this call is that, but then it will not work. Okay. So if you're like, I'm willing to do the work, I'm willing to change the paradigm for myself, then this is for you. Okay. Now, so the investment, I never say cost, right? Because it's not a cost, it's an investment. You get an ROI. So you don't put money in the stock market and say, oh, it cost me this much, right? So the investment, 43,000 for 10 months. What? Kidding. That's what I paid the first, when I was like, I know there's more. The first program I found to sign up for was 43 grand for 10 months. You would have heard me say it on the podcast. If you listen to the podcast, if you don't, you should. So no, this is not for the business school. The business school is $997 a month. And if you want to do, a one-time payment, it's 10,000, and that means you save 2 months worth of tuition. But that's what it is. Okay. So you have two options, and there's always two options. And one option is, I'm going to figure this out myself. I don't need to do this. It doesn't take all that. And I'll get it done. Actually, you have three options. You can decide to do nothing. And I hope you don't decide to do nothing. I was talking to a friend of mine. We first came in contact about 2 years ago, and he had considered starting a business. He had considered starting off with one of my programs and all of that, and he didn't. And we met up somewhere out of the blue, and he's like, you know what? I'm telling you this. I'm ashamed saying this. Um, I have not done anything. I have not changed in the last 2 years. I have not made any strides. And I'm looking at you and looking at all that you've accomplished in the last 2 years. I have nothing to show for it. Now, not nothing. I mean, he works a job, he's, and all of that stuff. And that's what life does. Like you have to choose, you have to choose. So you could do nothing, or you can say, I'll figure this out, or you could come join us in the business school. Okay. And it's fun. It's so cool. And there are going to be many things where you're going to go like, well, what if this is not the right time? What if this doesn't work for me? What if this is not the real business idea I should be working on? What if? I learned this from one of my coaches, and it's one of the most powerful things I learned. And it's make the decision. And when you're done, make the decision right? You say yes to whatever it is you want to do, and then you make it work. All right. I've done that. It served me. I invite you to do the same thing. Now, the EntreMD Business School is not open for enrollment right now. So the opportunity that you have is to hold your spot for when it does open. So when does the group open up? June the 14th. Okay. June the 14th is the next time we would admit people into the school. Now you can hold your spot. And once it opens, you'll be the first to get in and all of that stuff, but it doesn't actually start to here. However, this is what we're doing for the people who have applied and who are holding spots. We have 3 courses that you would be working on until you actually start. The first one is 5 days to your best year. And what that is it's a goal, it's a 3-hour goal setting course. And it walks you through one, how to set goals, and not just for your business, for your life. The 9 core areas of your life, it shows you how to set your goals in those 9 areas. It shows you how to break that down to what you should be doing monthly, weekly, daily. It shows you how to build in accountability. It shows you how to build in motivation, right? Because many people have never set goals, but many people have set goals and never accomplished them. This is designed to help you set them and accomplish them. Okay. And then the second one you do would be unlocking your profitable business idea. When we with I've done survey or upon survey upon survey of physicians, and the number one thing I get is, I don't know where to start. I don't know if this is the business idea I should be working on. So there's a whole course for that where you get to figure out, this is my profitable business idea. And the third one is one of my favorites, is speaking mastery. And the reason why it's one of my favorites is because speaking is the fastest way to grow any business. It is the fastest way. And not just speaking like we would in grand rounds and stuff like that, but there's an actual framework. I told you I like frameworks. There's an actual framework you can follow to speak for transformation, to speak to put your business out there, to speak to build your brand, to speak to create authority, credibility, expert status. And there is a course for that as well. So what that means is between now and June, you'll be working on that. So when you do start, you can hit the ground running. So these 3 would be bonus courses that you would get access to if you hold your spot. Okay. Now, I am going to answer a few questions that I get a lot of, and then I'm going to get out of the way so you can ask your questions. Okay. All right. So how long will I be in the school? So I'll give you 2 answers. The recommendation is that you plan to be in the school for a year. Why a year? Well, for a number of reasons. One is that it takes a moment to develop all the habits that you need. It does not take a year, but it takes a moment. And 2 is back to my initial quote, that everything you've achieved up until now is a stepping stone for what comes next, right? So it's like whatever wins you get in 12 weeks is now the stepping stone for what comes next. All the wins you get in 6 months now become the stepping stone for what comes next, right? So I've had people come into the school and they're like, oh my goodness, I've done more in the last 30 days than I've done in the last 2 years in my business, right? So is 30 days a good time to quit? No, that's the stepping stone for what comes next. And I cannot tell you how many people are like, wait a minute. So does that mean when I hit a year, I have to leave? They send me DMs like, do I have to leave? I'm like, no, that's why it's built that way. So there will be many people who will be in there longer for a year, longer than a year. And that's because, because of the way the community is set up, the way the learning is set up and all of that, there's no end point. You know what I mean? Like there just isn't. But the recommendation is you plan for a year. The time commitment, you will need to devote the 1 hour a week or so for your live sessions. But the truth is they're all recorded, so you can do replays. There are a number of people who do that as well. We have a student in France, we have one in New Zealand, Canada, and and Australia. So they can't make all the live calls, right? So, but the replays are always there. And then I would say if you have 2 hours, 3 hours for implementation, then you should be golden. You really should be. So most doctors are able to make up with the time. It hasn't been an issue. People ask if there's one-to-one coaching. In the business school, there isn't. There isn't. But you still get a lot of touches that it has not been a problem. Okay. So you have the group, you don't have the one-on-one, but the group is powerful. All right. And does the business school help people with my kind of business? And if you are working on building your physician brand, which I believe every physician should build their brand, but if you're building that, it works. If you're building a nonprofit, it works. If you're building a service-based business, coaching, private practice, all of that, it works. A product-based business like a skincare line or so, it works. If you are doing something specialty, like you want to do cash flowing rentals, we do not have any conversations about that whatsoever. So for that, maybe not, right? So, but other than that, it works, all right? Okay, so I did want to do this in less than 30 minutes. I hit my target. So I'm going to stop the share. So that way you can ask your questions. I'm happy to answer any questions or comments or whichever. We'll take those and then we'll take you from there. Yay. So if you have questions, you can either unmute yourself or you can raise your hands with the Zoom button, and I'll be happy to take those. Hi, Carolyn. Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I don't really have a concrete idea. I'm more focused right now on just building the brand. I'm an employed physician. But I have some other ideas floating around. Is there time or space to kind of like help me think through those things and figure out something I can, some one goal that I can work on?
Well, so it depends on what you want to do. So if you want to build, do you work a job now?
Yes, I'm a full-time OBGYN, yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
So OBGYN was my first choice. Yeah, first choice. And then I changed my mind and went for the babies. But anyway, all right. So it depends. If you want to work on your physician brand, there's a lot of value in that, right? So what we'll do is we'll determine as we go on, what is it that you want to build, and we'll channel it that way. So for instance, I had a client that I worked with that she ultimately wanted to start her own private practice years down the line, but she was working full-time in a job. So what we did was we built her own brand, right? So she had strong networks within the community. She had a referral base. People knew her, right? She was speaking in places, she was speaking in the community and all of that. Now, what it did was in the now that she's employed, it gave her leverage to negotiate for a 4-day work week, right? So she has a long weekend every week, right? And it put her in a position where they're laying others off. They didn't, nobody talked to her because, she's out speaking. She's so valuable to the organization that nobody was going to do that. And when she's ready to start her own practice, she's already learned all these other skills. She's already built this massive following and all of that it would be very easy for her to go from 0 to 60. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
So we would start from your physician brand, but there's so much value in that. And you can always turn it around on anything else you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll just build a trajectory. Like, this is where you are. We can start with this. Then we'll make sure it's aligned for where you're going. Yeah. Okay. So we call it the business before the business. That's what we'll do.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right. Who else had a question?
I had a question about, I'm sorry, I'm driving, so it's going in and out. That you said the school is not open now, you go on hold. And how do you actually hold your spot? And then also, is there a limited number of people that you allow into the school when it does open?
So the school, so holding the spot would be doing a deposit, right? To hold your spot. And the deposit is going to, so when it opens up for June, technically it will be your tuition for June. So you're not necessarily, you're just holding your spot, if that makes sense. When it opened, what was the second thing you asked?
Is there a limited amount of people that you allow in the school? So say you're on the waiting list and on hold.
Yeah.
Is there a certain amount that you let in and then you tell the rest of us we can't get in, or how does that work?
Well, there is a limited amount, but it's top secret. My people won't let me say. But that doesn't mean I don't want you to, let me put it this way. I don't want you to feel like you're under pressure. You must do this now. There's going to be a problem. But if you know that you want to do it, I would hold a spot. And that's the reason why we created it that way.
Yeah, I definitely want to do it, and I was going to hold the spot, but I didn't want to be like, do all this that you're like in June. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Okay, now I understand what you're asking. Okay, no. If you hold your spot is guaranteed.
Okay.
So that answers your question, right?
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
I got it now. I got it.
Yes,
If you hold
okay.
your spot, we're not going to say, well, we like Delta, we overbooked. You can't get on this flight. No, we're not going to do that. It will be guaranteed.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. Yay. I would love to see you. That'd be so much fun. Okay. Who had a question?
I'm a little confused on the cost, Dr. Uma. It's $9.97 per month. And is there a minimal number of months that, I know you said it's suggested to do it for a year and it would be $10,000 if you do a year upfront, but is there a minimum number of months, or does everybody do at least 10 months, or how does that work?
Well, so the way it's structured for right now, the way it's structured, it is month to month. That's the way it's set up.
Okay.
So 1 year is like, you want to get the best out of this. You want to put yourself on the best trajectory and all of that, do a year. You see what I'm saying?
Got
And then for the people who are like, I'm all in, I'm just going to do that. I think I have a student on here who did that. She's like, look, just send me the whole thing. You do that. The advantage is, you kind of get 2 months free, if that makes sense.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Nice to almost see you. Your camera is
Right.
off, but
Yeah.
I recognize your voice though. All right. I think I have Seema. Yeah, you can unmute yourself. Let me find you so I can. Hi. Oh, you're muted. Let's see. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I'm at work.
You're good.
I listen to you every day. Love you.
Oh, I love you right back. You listen to the
You're
podcast?
giving me encouragement. Yes, the podcast every day while I'm working every day and on my commute. You're giving me hope in
I'm
a very,
happy to
very
hear
dark
it.
time. Yeah,
I'm
in a
happy
very
to hear
dark
it.
time. So on the podcast you talk about the EntreMD on demand. How's that different from the actual course?
So the EntreMD on demand, think about that. You mean the difference between that and the business school?
I'm sorry, yes, the business
Okay.
school.
So think about EntreMD on demand like Netflix, right? You go in, you watch your movies, you come out. There's no community with it. There's no live components with it. I have some people who are like, I'm just not ready to eat. Like, the thought of business gives me hives and makes my blood pressure go up. I'm like, just
Sure.
go over here and then start from there. If I have, some people who are so far away from entrepreneurship, they don't even want to think about it. They kind of, go there. But if you are ready to go meaning I'm ready to do the work, then the business school is what you want to do. So it's very different. There's no community, there's no life component, there's no challenges. They're not even remotely the same.
Okay. And what is the cost for the on demand?
The on demand is $97 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And
it's basically a collection of, courses, that people would do and stuff like that.
Okay. I mean, I'm ready to go. I'm
ready to have you.
Awesome. So if I wanted to put my deposit down and go full force, how would I go about doing that?
So it's entremd.com/hold. So I'm actually
Hold.
gonna,
Okay.
yeah, /hold. So I'm holding my spot, hold. And then it would take you to a page and you can do that. And then you'll get access to the courses that I talked about. And then, okay, Makita, type that in. And then you'll be all set. On June the 14th, then you get added to the group. Usually what I do is I do an accelerated onboarding. So for the first 3 weeks or so is just a new cohort together. So get you on board, get your business ideas threshed out, get your messaging threshed out and all of that stuff. Then you join the big group. Does that make sense? So that,
Yeah.
so there's
Okay.
no newbie. Like once you get in, everybody's good. That's the way it's set up.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I'm so happy you enjoy the podcast. I'm so happy
Oh,
it's
I
making a
love it.
difference.
I
Yeah.
love it because where I'm at right now is I'm just dealing with like challenging times, corporate medicine and all that. And so it's your positive message and outlook is really helping get through these dark times, like I said.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to hear it. Happy to hear
Yeah,
it. Rooting
thanks.
for you. Always.
Thank you.
Love it. Okay. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
All right. Questions. Let's see. All right, Dr. Thomas, did you have a question? I see you're unmuted.
I'm unmuted. I did not have a question.
Okay.
But I would, and I just, heard of you during the summit 2 weeks ago.
Leverage
So
and growth.
I'm sitting back and watching. I like the term they used on the leverage and growth. There were some lurkers. That's a great word. Lurkers. But here's what I would, without even taking your course, I would put in a promo for it, because I'm
wow.
at the other end. I'm a retired physician now. Okay. I'm sitting in Palm. That's not a virtual background.
I love it.
So if you guys it's like, putting money into your 401k, the earlier the better it is. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, that kind of thing. So whether it's this course of entrepreneurship turns out to be for somebody, or just, the Nike, just do it. At one point in time, I was an orthopedic surgeon. Okay. At one point in time, my K1 had 10, not my K1, my tax return had 10 different K1s. Okay. So I had lots of businesses, and I'm a 1%er. So
I love it. I had lots of business and I'm a 1%er.
That's it. You need multiple income streams. And the first one for anybody out there should be to own your own office, to have the real estate of your office so that you or your partners are paying rent to yourself. And it's a cash cow. If you could buy a surgery center, you'd be involved in a surgery center. I built 2 surgery centers, and I built physical therapy centers. So most of my stuff was ancillaries to the practice. It was never out of something totally non-medicine, but there's enough to do within medicine to keep you busy. And my thought now is a podcast called, here's a title, don't steal it, Been There, Done That.
I won't touch it. I'll leave it for you.
Right. Been there, done that as a podcast, because I did orthopedic, sports medicine, covered Olympic teams, did all that. There's a lot of tennis instruction online that I actually take, but I talk to the guys like you, and then I want to convince 1 or 2 of them to let me be their medical consult when they do a special. They go, here we have Dr. Nordstrom. He's going to tell us how to take care of tennis elbow, and I'll do 10 minutes on that. So even in retirement, I'm doing that.
Well, best of luck with your podcast. I'm happy to hear that. And when you launch it, let me know. I'd be happy to shout you out. So good.
Fun.
Love it.
Take care, Dr. Una.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
All right. Did anybody else have any questions?
Plus, I'm very introverted, so I don't like to chit chat. So that won't, be trouble.
Yeah, I'm introverted too. I don't know. 2.0 type of introverts.
Hi, Dr. Una. I have a question, Oksana.
Hi.
Hi. So your admission is on June 14, and when is the next one after June 14? How often per year do you do your open admissions?
So we're gonna do twice a year. So we did one in February, and then we're doing one in June. So chances are we won't reopen till 2022.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let me see. Do I have any other questions? Otherwise, let me see. Okay, looks like, oh, hi, Carla. Nice seeing you again.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm kind of lurking. I'm feeding kids after soccer games.
I cannot judge. I have 4 kids myself.
Yeah. I've been kind of just watching, listening to your podcast ever since the summit. So yeah, very interested. One question is the recording of this this topic tonight, is this going to be available later?
For those of you who registered, well, we can send it out.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah. I told you at the summit, I actually ended my last job. I've been doing a lot of soul searching, figuring out what I'm going to do and coming up with some business plans. So I'm really interested in, I'm going to think a lot about doing this business school. I'm excited.
Yeah, let's do it. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Lots of fun. And congrats. Yeah. I'm happy you're embracing all of it.
Thanks.
I'm happy you are. All right, go feed the kids. Don't let them get mad at me.
Bye.
All right, everybody. So I think I have all the questions. I think I got to everybody. So just a quick recap here. So, the school will be, it will open in June, but you have the opportunity over the next 2 months to do 3 courses that are foundational. And if you listen to the podcast, I'm not really into fluff. So it's not, stuff to keep you busy or stuff that you can check off, but it's stuff that you can actually start applying right away. So you'll have that while you wait for, when the school opens. And when it does open, there's an accelerated onboarding. I do that on purpose so that everybody's clear on what their business is, what their message is, and they can start running, because we run. Like with the monthly challenges, there's a lot of running with that. So if you're going to hold, it's entremd.com/hold. If you do hold your spot, we're not going to say, hey, here's your refund, go away. We didn't have enough space for you. Your spot will be guaranteed. Okay. And then, let me see, did I leave anything out? Yeah. And then if you have any questions, feel free to email us, Dr. Una at EntreMD.com. So that's DRUNA at EntreMD.com. And we'll be happy to take care of you. But if we have the opportunity to work with you, we will be honored to do that. And you will be in a community where doctors are supporting other doctors. Doctors are following a framework. Doctors are setting a brand new stage, because we've been sold a lie that we're good physicians and we're poor entrepreneurs. And it's just not true. It isn't true. We can thrive at both. And many physicians have set the example, and you can too. Okay. So Dr. Truba, you can unmute yourself. You have a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I did say like 1 or 2 months, and then I decided, oh, actually, like I want to do the whole year, is there an opportunity at that time to then pay for the whole 10 months? Or do I have to make that decision like now before I hold?
So you can hold. And at the time, if you want to do that within the first 30 days, you can.
Okay. First 30 days. Okay.
Yeah. So you can, but you can hold with just the $997.
Okay.
Yeah. Amanda, if you want to do that, you can. Just send the email and I'll have the team take care of you. Did you want to unmute yourself? I just see your hand is raised as well.
Oh yeah, that was the question I was going to ask. So, because I've been listening to you too, and I was like, okay, this is something I need to do. So I just want to just pay for it now.
Okay, so if you send the email to Dr. Una at EntreMD.com, the team will take care of you and set that up for you.
Thank you.
Okay, yay, that'll be so good. Looking forward to it. All right. So in the absence of, Makita, you have a typo. So in the absence of other questions, I am going to let you guys go. I will stay on for an extra, 10 minutes or so. If anybody had any other questions, I will answer them. But officially, I'm going to let you go. And, regardless, I would love for you to listen to the podcast. I would love for you to embrace entrepreneurship. I would love for you to create a whole new dynamic for yourself. I believe that this is one of the most it's one of the most challenging times for doctors, but I think at the end of it, we'll be grateful for this time because it forced us to become better versions of ourselves. So I'm excited about it. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for coming. Like I said, I will hang out for another 10 minutes. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. And then for those of you who have already held your spots, congrats. Welcome to the EntreMD Business School family. We are super pumped. Okay. And then I'll see you on the inside.